This is the Uprising Revival. Welcome to today's show. I'm going to cover the events that are supposedly going to be happening. Conveniently, of course, for those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear, we all know that October 13th is really the beginning of the satanic time period for rituals, for sacrifice, for abductions. It starts on the 13th and invertedly goes to the 31st. Halloween is celebrated during this period, and if you look at the satanic occult calendar, this is the time period where most abductions and most ritual sacrifices, blood sacrifices, take place. So conveniently, of course, on Friday the 13th, which I'll do a separate video on for those of you that don't know the real origins of Friday the 13th with the Knights Templar and Baphomet worship, I'll do that in a separate video. But conveniently on October 13th, we have the other controlled globalists out there calling on massive global protests against Bagelville on Friday the 13th. I'll get more into the story in a second. I want you to know over on the website, Uprising Revival, all of my content pertaining to this is being uploaded uncensored, where I don't have to speak around the words. Now, I have stuff that people out there need to see in regards to the synagogue of Satan, what they are, who they are, how they've become this, and the deception that's going on with this specific piece of land, which was established in 1948, which is relatively new, of course. And I also have a really good video going up today in a few hours that everybody needs to see, where I was talking about the narrative of the date being the 11th day of the month of September and how significant that is. I went through all the clips that I could possibly find and put together a huge montage of those clips so you could see how the programming works, where they even took moms whose children perished in this supposed event, and they were put on national TV just a few days after their kids were murdered, and they were talking about how this was their 11th of the month of September. And of course, every talking head. So it just shows you how this huge machine of propaganda works, because you think organically all these people were saying it. No, they're saying it to beat it into your head, because this is going to be the new motto, the new saying, worse than that specific day. So I put all those clips together in a pretty funny video clip. It's not necessarily funny as it is frightening about how they're using, crisis actors and how they're using specifically supposed family members who are supposed to be grieving and mourning, who are just showing up on Good Morning America and all these places to discuss this event without tears in their eyes and using the talking points, right? Because these are the things that would pop into your head. If something happened to your child, you would just show up on the news and you would be saying the same exact thing as every single news outlet, which shows you that the people who are claiming to be victims and the family members are all in on it too. And of course, for people out there that don't understand how it works, you have Eastern Star, you have obviously Freemasonry, Shriners, you have all these secret societies that use their members, their high-ranking members, as the crisis actors. They're all trained, they're all prepared, they're all COINTELPRO, they're all agents of deception, and that's what this is about. It's a massive deception. So that video will be up on the website, uprisingrevival.com today, along with a lot of other content about that people need to know about. I think it's a great time for everybody to finally just join the website if you haven't yet, because this new wave I covered yesterday, the misinformation, etc., this new wave of events that are occurring, this is going to be a wipeout on the internet. You're going to see who the truth tellers are and who the fakes are. So they're already revealing themselves. I'll do that in a separate video, but this is the thing where people have always been like, who's a shill, who's a this, who's a that. You'll actually see, because the ones who stand with the synagogue of Satan, you'll know, right? They'll reveal themselves, and anyone that stands with the synagogue of Satan obviously is not one of us. So those videos will be on the website. It's $2.99 a month. It's unlimited content. I can unload unlimited amounts of videos, which is what I'm doing. My entire library of thousands of videos is being uploaded there as we speak, along with the forum where you can share everything going on, whether it's stuff like this, whether it's just satanic stuff going on, whether it's satanic stuff that you're seeing at the stores, especially around this period of time. People are taking pictures, uploading stuff that they're seeing that they're trying to sell to kids, etc. So a lot of great information being shared over there. It's well worth the $2.99 a month. You can go on any time of day. It's unlimited. And of course, obviously it's unlimited, but there's so much stuff being uploaded 24 hours a day is what I meant to say. So check it out, uprisingrevival.com. It's linked below. And if you haven't subbed to my backup channel yet, United Uprising, I need your help. Please at least sub to that for me. If you find this content useful and helpful and you want to listen to my content, make sure you sub to it, because I'm getting moved all over the place. And it's only going to get worse now with this story, which they don't want anyone to cover. And I'm covering it the best I can here. That's why I'm not showing you stuff on the screen. It helps me get around the algorithm for now, but eventually, obviously, I'm going to have to move on to another channel. So I'm getting used to how this algorithm is working, and that's a good thing so that I can fight against it. So let's get into this story, okay? Because this is obviously done by design. It's not a coincidence that on October 13th, that the ex-Hamas chief is calling on the Islamic world to stage global protests against Bagelland on Friday. The former leader of Hamas, we're going to call it Hummus. The former leader of Hamas called on their people to stage global demonstrations in support of the Palestinians on Friday and urged Arabs in neighboring countries to take up arms against Bagelville. So you're going to see more order out of chaos all around the world now because they're putting this on a grand stage so that everybody could take sides. Obviously, here in America, they're going to make it so that if you say anything, and I'm not siding with one side or the other, by the way. We just know who the true enemy is of humanity. This is biblical, but it's not biblical in the sense that most Christians and most ministers are talking about because they don't have an understanding of who these people are in Bagel land, right? I have to continually go back and edit because I can't even say the term because if you speak against these specific people, of course, you'll be thrown off the internet, imprisoned in some countries. So people need to be aware of this, but at the same time, there's what's going on is there's war being waged on civilians. The civilians of both countries are under attack from the same people because the leaders from all these countries all work directly under Bagelville and are working hand in hand with the Mossad. Okay, they're all working together. These vigilante groups that have billions of dollars, et cetera, who they live in a cave, right? But they have billions of dollars in artillery. And, they don't use technology, but somehow they have more technology than the most advanced military in the world, which is over in Bagel land. So these are all just facades. Now they're doing the heavy mind control facade with these specific dates. They're trying to envision these things in your mind. They're trying to create a picture in your mind of things that are happening over there. Your other talking points you hear other than the 11th day of September is also, you're hearing a lot about the heads being cut off of kids, the stuff happening to women in the streets. This is all to build and garner sympathy and unrelentless support for what's going to be unrelentless attacks. And again, I believe that this has to do with the Dome of the Rock as well. And I was even able to get in touch with Ted Pike, which is like the only person that's ever really responded to me of this entire movement ever over the years. I've tried to reach out to other people that do podcasts, et cetera. He's the only one that's ever responded. He's not in great health, so keep him in your prayers. But he also believes that is what is eventually going to happen. That is what the goal is of this, or one of the goals, I should say. So keep in mind that narrative. But let's continue on here with what they're calling to have happen on Friday. You're going to hear a lot of false flags. You're going to hear a lot of events. And again, this is specifically designed on this specific day because all of these people who are doing all of this are of the synagogue of Satan. Because the people who pretend to be one certain religion are not. And just like the other people who claim to be of one certain religion or not. They are working hand in hand. They are causing world utter chaos. And they're going to usher in things like we've all heard about in the past, the JlHAD laws, et cetera. They're going to usher these things in the future. It's all set in place. The UN is set behind it. All these things are set in place already. So they need to create the chaos now. And it doesn't mean that people aren't going to be sacrificed along the way. Of course they are. Of course there's things that are actually occurring. I'm not saying that this is all being done in front of a green screen. So, a lot of the stuff I'm covering, you're seeing the crisis acting, you're seeing the news reporters put in specific places. They're acting. They're pretending because they're pretending like they're in harm's way, that they're in a battlefield and they're in a protected area. There's no way they're getting harmed. And then when people ask questions as to why they wouldn't, if they're such savages like we're being told, wouldn't the first thing you do be like, let's go after some of these news reporters and send a message, right? Of course not. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they're listening, even though I'm not very important. Maybe they're listening and they're going to send we'll have a false flag around a news reporter, right? And then he'll get on a permanent vacation, probably staying exactly where he is because that's where most of these people get sent after they do their psyops like Epstein, and et cetera. People think they really get whacked. They disappear. They get the surgeries done, and they don't look like the same person, and they still walk amongst us. And they always get sent to this exact place that's under attack, just like this exact place is responsible for the events on that 11th day of September, too, which is convenient, of course, that they're using that narrative. So, Khalid Mashiel, who served as the chief of the Hamas from 2004 to 2017, called on the Islamic world to stage the protests. He says, quote, "We must head to the squares and streets of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday." He goes on to say, "To all scholars who teach JlHAD, to all who teach and learn, this is a moment for the application of JlHAD. Mishael specifically called on the governments and peoples of Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and Jordan to join the fight against bagels, characterizing their involvement as a duty. Tribes of Jordan, sons of Jordan, brothers and sisters of Jordan. This is a moment of truth, and the borders are close to you. You all know your responsibility. Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria have the highest populations of Palestinians outside of Gaza. Across the world, demonstrations have sprung up daily for both sides in the conflict, with many leading to clashes between both side sympathizers in city streets. We're seeing that here in America, college campuses, etc. Of course, every single person is completely uneducated on these things. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. When I talk about how stupid people are, okay, which I often talk about because there's a lot of things out there we can all look at and say, wow, how are these idiots falling for this? There's 100% we could say that about almost everything. This is one of the great deceptions. If not, this could be the great deception. I don't know for sure, obviously, but this is a deception that's very, very hard for people to see through and understand because it's been beaten into us so bad since we were young. That's all we've heard about is the guy with the short mustache. All we've heard about is the victimization of this place. And of course, Christians have all been misinterpreted what the Bible speaks of when it talks about this piece of land, which became a state, so-and-so estate, in 1948. Okay? So I can easily sympathize with these people, which is why I want to get this information out to people so they can have an understanding of what's going on, because they believe that these people are just targeted because nobody likes the way they look, right? They're targeted because of, this ties into all the stuff you hear about the people with the blue hair, etc., who Hershey Highway, etc., right? Nobody likes us because of the, people are like, if you want to do that on your own time, go ahead, but stop running into our schools, stop walking in the streets with no clothes on for your parades. And they can't, they use the same excuse. This is who I am, and they're targeting me, and they're using the same exact narrative here. People need to wake up and understand what's going on. So I feel sympathy for people who don't understand, although the information is out there. It is difficult to get information on this. This is the most, 100%, the most censored topic that you can ever, find truth on. They make sure that this is fully monitored. All the internet, everything is controlled by these specific people who make sure that these types of things never get out there. You have to actually speak in code to get around it. Literally. And I use the term bagels because, one, that's a stereotype that we've all probably used in our lives. But number two, because when you use the foods, I'm using what they use against us, where they think that they can get away with their codes with pizza and hot dogs, etc., with bagels, because it's a term where how are they going to rid the internet of the word bagel? They're not. How's the algorithm to pick it up? It's going to take down people who are playing bagels and beagles? It's going to remove their content? No, it's not. So using food and things like that is a good way because it's just filtered. It's littered, I should say, with videos about cooking, so the algorithm would be confused. Okay, it'll be confused about stuff like that. So that's a good tip that I'm giving people out there. I hear other people now using the term bagels. Obviously, I'm probably the one who started that, but I'm glad that people are because we're all in this together. We all need to be able to get around this so we can get truth out. But obviously, somebody stumbling upon it, as upon me and my work, is obviously not going to know what I'm talking about. So that's why, again, it's important to get people over the website. Then they can understand. So when I'm doing videos here, they'll understand the coding, et cetera, et cetera. This is what the future holds. So we just have to deal with it and adapt. Instead of complain about it, I know I complain too much about it because it makes me very, very mad what these people have done, but there's no time anymore to be complaining and mad about it. The time is just to outsmart them. That's just plain and simple. They're AI. They're telling us they're going to take over, et cetera. Outsmart these stupid things, okay? They'll have to figure out how to adapt, and when they adapt to the codes and the language, we change it. So back to the story again, how this is strategically done on October 13th. They're going on to say it was the deadliest attack in 75 years. We saw Hamas storming the country by land, sea, and air, indiscriminately killing men, women, and children. Of course, these are all talking points that they're using. This is building up trust. This is probably the biggest misinformation campaign out there. So I'm covering this story so you know that on Friday the 13th, there's going to be probably some false flags. Let's be realistic. At the very least, if it isn't something catastrophic, you're going to see on the news, they're going to report this stuff because they're going to be separating people. They're going to be dividing people with this, right? And nobody asked the question, like I said in a previous video, why and how can anybody be pro this one side? If this one side is such a victim and all this stuff is happening to them, how can anyone support the other side? Because you're only, like I use the example. It's just a really easy example. If two of your friends get in a fight, don't you want to hear both sides of the story? Well, you're not allowed to hear one side. You're only allowed to hear the specific side of the specific people you're not allowed to question. So that should make you very, very suspicious. And that's the perspective you have to have with this stuff psychologically, right? When they won't let you hear a certain side, just like with the outbreak, they wouldn't let you hear opposing views to it. They won't let you hear an opposing view to this specific place. Otherwise, couldn't we all just say, oh, it's just another conflict over there. Oh, it's just, whatever, let them have their conflict. Why is it such a big hindrance here in America? Oh, it's a big hindrance here because they're the ones controlling America. Who do you think's the ones responsible for all the suppression of free speech? Everybody points to China. It's not China. And again, you're seeing the alt-right now reveal themselves, which is perfect. This should help people wake up. It really, really should. Okay, this is the battle I've been talking about all along about information as well, which is why I constantly mention the alt-right. The alt-right goes out there, they casually will mention Satanism to bring people in. They don't even know what they're talking about. They bring some of these topics up that we all cover. They lean into people with the stuff going on in schools with kids. So everybody starts building trust in these people, and now these people are starting to herd them. This was the important part of the alt-right, because you're seeing the alt-right get deceived into this. The alt-right is very clueless about this, and because they're Christian, a lot of them, they're taking and misinterpreting things. And they're, lukewarmed in their walk, which, again, this isn't something, I shouldn't use the term lukewarm when it comes to this topic, because this is a deceiving tactic. This topic is just completely, misunderstood by many, right? So these people that they're looking to for information in the alt-right, the Shapiros, etc., they are hurting them unbelievably bad right now. And this is what I believe that they were sitting there waiting for the last 3 to 4 years. They built up the trust, and now they're going to divide and herd. This thing that's going on is not just something that's going to be a passive thing. This is big. There's a lot that's going to come out of this with Trump, who they built up the programming over the years, telling us about how he is the most pro-bagel person to ever live, and most pro-bagel president that's ever existed. These are all done by design for something bigger that's coming. That's why we need to keep an eye on the story. Watch their narratives, watch what they say, watch how they're hurting. Don't watch TV in a sleeping state of mind, in a zombie state of mind. Listen, process, see where they're hurting you. That's why the video on the website that I'm putting up today is really important. If you're on the website, look out for it. If you're not there, go check it out. Okay, it's really important. So you see how the mainstream media is using these talking points, and then people who have children who just perished are using the same talking points. It's unbelievable. It's so obvious that they're all reading off of a script, and then you say, where does the script come from? It comes exactly from the place who's trying to garner the sympathy. They're the ones who have been controlling the narrative. They're the ones who have been censoring everybody, and they're the ones who have been putting their agents in place for what we're about to see right now. This is biblical, but not in the sense that people think, where we're talking about the people under attack. The people who actually are known as the certain group of people who are the chosen ones are the ones who were saved through the blood of Christ, period. That's all there is to it. It's not your skin color. Okay, you're in a hive mind if you think it's your skin color, that you could, my skin color makes me this person, and we've all been deceived, and we've all been victims and targeted. It's all of us who are followers of the one who wears the crown. Okay, all of us who have faith, who are saved who have salvation through the blood of Christ. All of us, no matter what your skin color is, no matter what you've done in your life in the past, all of us who are now saved and continue to walk the straight and narrow, doing everything that we can to help other people wake up, of course, to the deceptions going on. Christians. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on this story for tomorrow. Keep an eye on false flags for Friday the 13th. Again, I'll cover the stuff out there. And again, I'm sorry that I can't put stuff on screen. A lot of you like to listen to this, as is. Obviously, when I have videos where I need to put clips together to show you, I can't put them up here now. But I like to show you the articles and stuff so you can see it. But that's what the algorithm's reading. And it's obviously listening and reading words, which is why I'm speaking around that as well. It's also, which people don't know, that it picks up photos. So every single photo that gets uploaded from the news, from CNN, etc., goes right through their algorithm. And if they see you using a photo like that, they'll flag your video and make sure you're talking about what they want you to be talking about. So it's very ridiculous, but I have to adapt to what they're doing. So if you still want to just hear me, this is what it's for. I mean, a lot of my good friends have told me that they wanted me to do a podcast, it'd be easier, etc. The only reason that I still continue to do here is to reach more people. I don't really know people would be searching for a podcast. I know, people who have listened for years would listen, but I want to reach new people. I want to help new people. It's just great deceptions going on. So anyway, folks, keep an eye on this date tomorrow. Keep an eye on the stories that come out of it. It's going to be, we're going to see psyops like we've never seen. We're going to see psychological ops like we've never seen, because these are the kings of psyops, the kings of psychological operations, who are the ones behind all this stuff, behind all the horrors and troubles in the world, are the victims, ladies and gentlemen. So keep an eye on the story. I thank everyone for being here. Hope to see you over on the website. And at the very least, please make sure you sub to my backup channel now if you haven't already. Thanks again, everybody. God bless you, as always, and your families.